Okay, so this is our network on which we have provided the local area network IP address 192.168.192.168.10.2. This is 192.168.10.3. This is 192.168.6.10.4, and this is 192.168.10.5. Okay, and one of these IP address will be allotted to this side also to the gateway 192.168.10.1, right? And let us assume the network available here is 200.0.0.0. On left side we have 200.0.0.1, and on right side we have 200.0.0.2. Clear? Okay, now. So dear, as we have four IP addresses over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So to communicate over the internet, we need to we need to convert these private IP into public IP address, and this conversion will be done by the help of network address translation. What? Network address translation. So what is the network address translation? Okay, so basically here we have lots of private IP addresses. Clear? We have lots of private IP addresses over here, and we have the public IP over here, right? So let us assume this is the ISP router. Okay, so we have to forward the data in between these two. So first of all, let's provide the IP address to all of these PCs, routers, and so on. Okay, so 192.168.10.2 is the IP address, and gateway will be 10.1. Okay, let's do the same on other router also, 192.168.10.3 and 10.1. That 192.168.10.4. Okay, and 10.1 is the gateway, 192.168.10.5. Okay, and 10.1 is the gateway, right? So 10.1 also available here, right? Let's provide the IP address to the routers quickly. So no, enable configuring terminal interface G 0/0/0. No, shutdown IP address is 200.200.0.0.1 and 255.255.255.0. Okay, another interface G 0/0/1. No shut. Okay, IP address is 192.168.10.1 and 255.255.255.0. Clear? So we have just provided the IP address to show IP interface brief. So here we got the two IP addresses, 192.168.10.1 and 192.200.0.0.1. Okay, so let's do the same on this side also, and we're going to also provide some loopback IP addresses enable for the testing purpose. Configuring terminal. Okay, interface G 0/0/0. No shutdown. Okay, IP address is 200.0.0.2 and 255.255.255.0. Okay, so dear all, we have just provided the IP address on this side also and this side. So for that, for the further communication, we need to do the default routing on this router also. Okay, and let's also create some loopback IP address on this router. What are those loopback IP addresses? So interface loopback 1. Okay, IP address is 8.8 dot IP address 8.8.8.8 and 255.255.255.255. Clear? Another, let me create one more loopback address interface loopback 2. Okay, IP address is 200 sorry 9.9.9.9 and 255.255.255.255. Clear? So we have just provided the two loopback interfaces. First one is what? 8.8.8.8 and 9.9.9.9. Okay. Now let's do the default routing on this router. How we can do the default routing? IP route. Which one is that? 200.0.0.0. Sorry, IP route 0.0.0.0, and next hop address is 200.0.0.2. So we have just done the default route. Okay, dear. So now what is the how we can configure the network address translation, right? So what is the meaning of network address translation? To translate the public IP address into private IP. Clear? Public IP address will be converted to the private IP by the help of network address translation. Okay. So in case of static net, we have to do the manual one on one. What? One on one mapping, right? And that will be done statically or manually. We are going to do that on one. Okay. How? Let us assume we have IP address like this. Which one IP address? 192.168.10.2. That must be mapped with a public IP address like 200.0.0.11, right? Another IP address 192.168.10.3, that will be mapped with what? 200.0.0.12. Okay. Next one is 192.168.10.4. That will be mapped with by what? An IP address 200.0.0.13. Another one is that 200.0.0 192.168.10.5 14. Okay. So this is what we call the one-to-one mapping, and that mapping will be done manually. Where? On this router we are going to map these IP addresses. Okay. When the data will be forwarded, the mapping will be effective in that scenario. Okay. Now, before going to discuss about the network address translation, I have to discuss about the incoming and outgoing interfaces. What? Incoming and outgoing interfaces, incoming or outbound, inside or outbound traffic for the same. Clear? Inbound and outbound traffic for the same. Okay. So how do we can do that? First of all, assign the inbound and outbound traffics. So dear all, this interface will manage the outbound traffic, right or not? That is why we can say that this is NAT outside. Clear? And this will control the inside traffic. We can say this is NAT inside, right? So let me mention these two and also start the configuration. Okay. So this will be NAT outside and this will be NAT inside. Clear? Now we are going to do the one-to-one mapping. Configuring terminal, right? Configuring terminal interface G 0/0/1. This one will be IP NAT inside. That's it. Other side we have interface G 0/0/0 IP NAT outside. Clear? So we have just mentioned the inside and outside interfaces, right? Now it's time to map the IP addresses. It's time to map the static network address translation by doing the one-to-one mapping. Okay, how we can do that? IP NAT inside, IP NAT inside source static. Which source is that? 192.168 dot 10.2. Okay, mapped with 200.0.0.11. Clear? So we have just mapped the two IP address. Now let's do for further. 192.168.10.3 will be mapped with 200.0.0.12, right? 192.168.10.4 will be mapped with the 13, right? Let's map next one. 192.168.10.5 will be mapped with by what? 4. Okay, so we have just mapped lots of IP addresses over here. Let's check what we have done. Show IP NAT translation. So it will show that this mapping has been done, right? Show IP NAT statistics. This command is also mentioned that there are 4 translation. Clear? Outside interface is gig 0/0/0. Inside interface is gig 0/0/1. Right? Now, let's try to ping this loopback interface from this PC. This is the source and this is the destination. Now, let's try to forward the data. So by putting a command ping, which one is that? 8.8.8.8, and also opening the simulation, but simulation for the ping message, right? So whenever I will put enter over this one, so ICMP and ARP will be generated, right? This packet will be moved forward toward the switch. Switch will forward this to many direction and it will get back with the destination MAC address. Now the ICMP packet will be generated. If I talk about the outbound, what is source IP address? 192.168.10.2 and destination is 8.8.8.8. Now the packet will be forwarded to the switch. Switch will forward this to the router. On this end, the the packet will be converted to what? The ARP and will get back, right? Now wait for one more packet to be generated. Clear? Now, this is another ICMP packet that will be generated. In this, the source is also 192.168.10.2, destination is 8.8.8.8. Now, this packet will be forwarded to the switch, and when it will be received to the router, what will happen? That the source was 192.168.10.2, but the source IP will be taken over by another IP address from the public IP one, that is 200.0.0.11, right? 192.168.10.2 will be taken over by the source IP address 200.0.0.11 and will be forwarded to the other side, and from this side the reply will be forwarded, received, right or not? So this is how the network address translation works. So in this case, we have seen that the data was forwarded from this PC. The source was 192.168.10.2. But when the data will be forwarded on other interface, the source will become what? 200.0.0.11. Right or not? This is called network address translation but static. Right? So now let's discuss about the dynamic network address translation. Before the dynamic network address translation, let me delete the previous configuration. Go to global configuration mode. Okay. So IP net inside source static or whatever is that. Let me put no here. No IP net inside source static. Okay, 10.2 12. Okay, before this also I will put no here. No, I don't need that. Okay. On next one, that is 13, let me provide no here. So this is how we can delete the network address translation process. Okay. For 14, we have 192.168.10.5. I will put no here. So let's see, is there any more network address translation over here or not? How we can do the show IP net translation. It will say, no, I don't have any translation. Show IP net statistics. So there is nothing. No translation is going on. Clear? Now we have to do the mapping of what? Dynamic. We are going to do the dynamic mapping. For the dynamic mapping, what we will do? For the dynamic mapping, I will create a pool of IP addresses, right? I will create a pool of IP address. Let us assume I have taken 10 IP address, that it may be possible that the PC can be 10 or 20 or 30, whatever number of PC can be there. So I will create a pool of IP. Pool of IP means the group of IP address like 200.0.0.11 and the pool 200.0.0.12, and this will end up to what? 200.0.0.20. So total pool of 10 IP address, right? We have a pool of 10 IP address globally, and we are going to map this pool of IP address with what? What do we have for this network here? For this
Four net.
local area network, how we can select these IP addresses?
We
What do
have
we
four
map?
addresses.
Yeah, we have four addresses, but now we are doing the dynamic mapping. That it means group of IP will be mapped with these group of IPs. How to select all these IP addresses in a single frame and map to this group of IP? How we can do that? How we can select these number of IP addresses at the same time, or all the numbers of IP addresses allotted at the same time?
Summarization, I think.
No. Here we will use the access control list. What? Access list. Clear? So what we will do, we will permit this network in access list. So this access list will have all the details of these IP addresses, right? And now when we will map the access list with what? With pool of IP, that will be automatically assigned. What? The IP address will be automatically assigned to each and every single PC, right? Clear now?
Yes.
Okay. So because by selecting the access list and define these IP addresses or group of IP, so all the IPs will be listed in access list. That access list can be mapped with what? Pool of IP address. Okay, now first of all we are going to create the pool of IP address. Okay, why how we can do that? IP IP net pool CCNA. IP net pool CCNA. CCNA is the name of pool. Now it will ask what is the starting IP address. What is the starting IP address is 190. This is 200.0.0.11. Now it will ask you what is the end IP address, that is 200.0.0.20. Now it will ask you what is the subnet mask of this, that is 255.255.255.0. Now it will ask, I think there is a mistake in any of these. IP net full CCNA. Okay, okay. We have to provide the mask. Net full CCNA subnet mask, right or not? So we have to provide the net mask command and subnet mask over here. What is the subnet mask? That is 255.255.255.0. Clear? That's it. So this is the command to create the pool of IP address. Now we have just created the pool of 10 IP addresses and we are giving the name CCNA to this one, right? Now let's create the access list over here and try to map this one, right? How we can do that? Access list 1, click over here, access list 1, access list 1, permit. To whom we have to permit, dear? We have to permit this entire network IP addresses. What is the network behind this? 192.168.10.0, right or not? 192.168.10.0. Just hold on for a second. Ah, हाँ बोल रहा हूँ और क्या हाल? Yeah, we got actually got an urgent call. No worry. Okay. Access list one permit the network, and in network just mention what? In case of access list, we can permit network, and with the network, we will we will provide the information of what? Subnet mask or not?
Wildcard mask.
Wildcard mask. That will be 0.0.0.255, right or not? That's it. So we have just selected all the network collectively in the access list. Okay. Now we have to what we have to do. We have to map this access list with what? With the pool of IP addresses. So IP net inside source list one. The access list one must be mapped with the pool of IP pool. And what was the name of that pool? CCNA. Right? That's it. Okay. Now I will go to the network address translation, put a command show IP net translation. So it will say no translation is going on. Show IP net, IP net statistics. So it will say, yeah, we have the translation access list one mapped with the pool CCNA, right? Starting of the pool is 200.0.0.11, ending up with 200.0.0.20. Okay. So dear, whenever will be any communication, let me try to ping this router. So let's start the communication with this PC, right? I'm using the second PC, not the first. Okay, we'll see that which IP address will be selected from this pool. Okay, so ping 192. Ping 9.9.9.9. You will see the ICMP and ARC will be generated. This packet will be forwarded. Okay, now the ICMP packet will be forwarded to get the. Okay, so the ICMP packet will be generated in this. Where is the source? Source is what 192.168.10.1, where we can see the target is what IP address, whatever is that. Okay, when the packet will be forwarded on this side, let's see. What is the source IP address 192.168.10.3? Destination is 9.9.9.9. If I talk about the external traffic on outbound side, this IP address 192.168.10.3 will be converted into what 200.0.0.11, right or not?
Yes, sir.
It will automatically take the first IP address from the pool of IP, right? So that is means if I will do the communication from this side also at the same time, it will choose the second one, right? For the first communication, it will choose first IP, second it will choose the second IP address. But dear, in our organization, we can have 100 and 1,000 PCs, right or not? So do I have to purchase the 1,000 IP addresses from the INA? No, it will be a costly process to purchase these much IP addresses, right or not? So in this scenario, what we will do? Any guess what we will do in these type of scenarios?
Pat.
Port address translation, right or not? The port address translation will be done. What is the meaning of port address translation, dear?
There is a single public IP address.
Yeah. So every time we will allotted a single public IP. Which public IP is this? This one is the single public IP. Clear, everyone? Okay. Now this IP address can be multiplexed with the all the private IP addresses. Why don't we multiplex the single IP address to all of these private IP address? Right or not? Clear? So we will do the multiplexing of a single IP address to all of these private IP address by the help of what? Port address translation. That is also known as the NAT overload, right or not? Clear? So let's do the same process over this router. Okay, dear. So first of all, delete the previous configuration, configuring terminal, no IP net. Okay. So no IP net full CCNA, right? Let's see. No IP. Okay. So what I have done, I have deleted the previous configuration. Okay. No access list one. Let me try to delete this one, but I will need the access list for here, right or not? So dear, if I will go to the privilege mode, put a command show IPNet translation. Here there is no translation. Show IPNet statistics. Here we have what? We have no mapping over here, right or not? Now what we can do? We can do the mapping of what? Mapping of these access lists over the single IP address that is allotted to the interface G0/0/0. Okay, how we can do that? Go to global configuration mode, put a command IPNet inside source list 1. Okay, source list 1 and map map the access control list that is selecting the entire IP address of this network. Let map all of these IP addresses with the interface the 0/0/0 IP address. What? Map with this interface IP. I don't know what is the interface IP. Whatever can be the interface IP, right or not? So I'm going to map this access list with the interface, right? By putting a command, access list IP nut inside source list 1. Okay, then interface G 0/0/0 overload. Okay, now we have done the configuration show IP NAT translation. So it will not show any translation, right or not? Show IP NAT statistics. Okay. So it will say I'm not doing any translation because this will not be shown in what this one, right? So let me try to ping this 8.8.8.8 again by the simulation panel and we'll see which IP address it will use again. Okay. So ping 8.8.8.8, the packet will be generated in which the destination will be 8.8.8.8, source is 192.168.10.2. When this packet will be forwarded to the switch and to the router, here we got some change here. What is the source IP 192.168.10.2? What is the destination IP? What is the source IP address on outbound side? That is 200.0.0.1. That it means at the same time, both of them are using a single IP address that is available here. That is means all the source IP address will be multiplexed with the same IP address at the same time. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the question is that if if this is if this is if this is our ISP, if this is our ISP and this is our what? Local area network router. So I have done the configuration of what? Default route over here, right or not?